NASA, even after admitting in their website that the famous blue marble is photoshopped, continues receiving $60 million a day from gullible globe believers.
Classic mathemagics with the Walter Bislin Earth Curve Calculator. Globeheads say that their refraction slider can account for any long-distance observation made by flat earthers. Okay, how about 24,825 miles? Standing in Kansas, looking all the way around the entire globe at something that's actually behind you. Remember, the Earth's circumference is 24,901 miles, supposedly. So let's take 24,825 times 5,280 and get 131,076,000 feet. So let's put that into our Walter Bislin calculator and put our target size at 100,000 feet, our observer height at normal 6 feet. And looky there, with our Mathemagics refraction slider, we were able to bring something into view that is behind us, all the way around the entirety of the globe. Now that is mathemagics for you. This whole idea is centered around reverse engineering of the geocentric and creating this mathemagical way of deceiving you. So now with the Walter Bislin Earth Curve Calculator with the refraction slider, that refraction slider can cause us to make observations that are entirely around this whole entire globe and behind us. Guys, come on! Refraction, it's just a mirage. Well, how come every long-distance observation that is made to contest the globular Earth, refraction is so selective that it will place the object you're looking at exactly on the apparent horizon, just where it needs to be for the Earth to appear flat? I don't understand the odds here. We're talking 1 in a billion chance that every long-distance observation is going to set that object right where it needs to be. Why isn't it floating up in the air sometimes? And we're not just talking about boats, because that's not actually the phenomenon of raising the boat up. No, that's a mirror effect on the water that it is sitting on. So it's actually making the apparent horizon appear lower than that boat. It's not the boat floating in the air. Now, with a Fata Morgana, though, you can get some floating objects, but with a Fata Morgana, it's a superior mirage. Most of the time, it's upside down, and at the very least, super blurry. And actually looking like a mirage should look hazy, blurry, not quite sure. If it's an illusion, no, you know it's an illusion, because it's blurry. But the special refraction that favors the globe is not only 1 in a billion chances of placing it right where it would need to be to make the Earth appear flat, but also it's selective in its clarity. So not only does it place it exactly on the apparent horizon where it needs to be, but also it clarifies it, makes it nice and crisp, as if it's really there, and as if the Earth is really flat, but no, it's a mirage. How long do you have to believe this before you finally say, you know, the probability of every long-distance observation giving me this same result is nil. It's so zilch that you shouldn't even suggest it. Let's be real. Makes no sense. And then they'll put up pictures of Lake Pontchartrain, a 23-mile-long bridge with the most extreme-looking curvature you've ever seen in your life, placing the radius value at 1,500 miles or less. Now that's refraction. Not one, but 2 moon trains are being funded now. NASA plans to build a levitating robot train on the moon, not to mention the underground railroad system that's in the works. They say this will minimize the lunar footprint. I only know of one footprint on the moon. Does the moon have a climate crisis now with no atmosphere? But let me get this straight. You can't figure out Artemis 2 and 3 because of safety reasons? You can't figure out how to get a 4-man crew to the moon, but you want an underground railroad system where you would have to send a 6,000-ton boring machine there? Not to mention the rails and the train cars and the size of the crew? Don't get too excited, guys. You're not going to the moon. Every president since I've been alive has been telling us we're going back to the moon. The lunar lander weighed 16 tons, and you want me to believe you're sending an entire train to the moon? Each train car is like 80 to 150 tons. Wait, both trains are projected to be underground? Are they both supposed to levitate too? Let's say you're an investor that invested in a vehicle company, and that company comes up to you and asks you for more money on the investment to make the cars fly as well. And then you ask them, well, can you show me it drive first? And they can't even show you that. Would you give them more money to make those cars that they can't even figure out how to drive to fly? You destroyed this technology. It's a painful process to build it back. Apparently, because if you can't figure this out to get these people there, then why do you expect us to believe you can do this? Get out of here!
If I want to turn this globe into a flat map, I'm gonna have to cut it open.
Have you guys seen the explanation on why all maps are wrong? And this guy's got the globe and he persists to cut it open all the way across and lays it out and tries to flatten out the globe. But wait, which came first? Flat maps or globes? Well, we all know flat maps came first. They are made using cartography and plane surveying, and despite all popular belief, they are still made that way today. In fact, if you think how globes are made, well, it's a flat map wrapped around a sphere. And a globe is just a spherical model of Earth. In fact, you'll find this disclaimer on the bottom of most classroom globes. Not for educational purposes. Even Robert Simmons had to take a flat map and wrap it around a ball to make the blue marble. That was supposedly done by satellite, but still collected all flat data. We know it's completely flat from any altitude. Even when Felix Baumgartner went to the edge of space, Neil deGrasse Tyson said,
"That stuff is flat."
From that altitude. And once they get all that flat data, then they wrap it around a ball, just like this, starting at the north. And this is kind of funny, because if you were to flatten all of this out, look at this ice around the outer edge of the south. And this geographer says, hate to break it to you, but all of your maps and globes are wrong, and this is actually more accurate than any map you've ever seen. But doesn't that look a little familiar? Oh, you know it looks familiar. So wait a minute, what you're saying is, if we were to take our globe and unwrap it, then the most accurate thing we would get for a map is this? So do you see the problem? They say that these are all wrong and distorted because they had to flatten out this, but in order to get this, they had to distort this, which actually looks more like this, which actually is this. So for those of you talking about discrepancies in scale of this map here, just know that it's looking like this one's actually closer in accuracy than any other map. It reminds me of a verse. How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from mine. Hey Tim, I want to encourage you today to look into the definition of science and pseudoscience. So science is the demonstratable, right? Testable, repeatable, provable. It uses the scientific method to prove things to be either true or untrue. And pseudoscience is rhetoric spilled from the mouth as if it's true, but then when the scientific method comes along, it proves that to be false, right? So imagine this. There's two people standing on the beach, okay? They both heard the claims from Bill Nye the Science Guy. So the one guy does not have binoculars. He's looking out, and at 3 miles, just as science says, he watches a boat go over the curve of the earth, right? His friend standing next to him has binoculars, right? So then this guy standing on the sand, he says, wow, holy crap, it's just as Bill Nye said. The boat, it just went over the curve of the earth. And then the guy with binoculars says, no, dude, you don't see that? Dude, the boat is right there in all of its glory. And then the guy without him says, hey, what are you talking about, dude? No, I saw the ball go right. And they start getting all, ooh, and they start fighting and everything, right? Well, wouldn't that be sad? Because the guy standing with no binoculars just can't simply see the truth. Because he does not have the instruments. He doesn't have the discernment. Doesn't have the optics to see far and wide enough to understand that what he was told was actually untrue. Now imagine that. Now the whole world's fighting because some people can see and some people can't.
What up, fam? It's time to debunk the globe religion once again with the Canagoo observation. Here we go. From 163 miles away with an observer height of 1,050 feet, let's do some globe religion math and see if it checks out. Straight from the Earth curve calculator, the target distance 163 miles away. Again, eye high at 1,050 feet. There should have been over 10,000 feet hidden beneath the Earth curve. So this is how high the mountain is. Therefore, with that globe math, the top part of the peak would be well below 1,000 feet beneath the Earth's curvature, and all they can do is claim refraction, and here's why that's a problem. So refraction is the bending of light, and the only time that we can see these mountains is when the sun is behind it, creating a silhouette of the mountain. So if a silhouette is the absence of light and refraction is the bending of light, we need a physical line of sight to see the object that's blocking the light. Therefore, it can't be refracted. So this is what the globe model has to claim is actually happening, is that the mountain is below the Earth's curvature and then it's being all the way refracted up above, and that's how we're able to see it. And again, we don't see the mountains when the sun is up in the sky, so the globers would claim, oh, it's because it's behind the Earth curvature, when really it's just the thickness of the atmos. And again, we can only see the mountains when it's backlit by the sun, which again, we need a direct line of sight to be able to see that. Globe debunked once again. It's the year 2024 and NASA gets more than $60 million every single day to show us adult cartoons, and there's people out there that have the audacity to say that we should give them more money. They get 60 million plus a day and they can't even provide us a real picture of Antarctica from space that's real. I hate to break it to you guys, but that is not real. No matter how long you search, or no matter what search engine you use, you won't find any real photograph. Every single one is just CGI or cartoons. Every single one. And this is when the cognitive dissonance starts to kick in. I get that it's uncomfortable to admit that maybe we've been lied to, but the quicker that people wake up, then we can stop giving them all of our taxpayer money for them to show us adult cartoons and explore the alleged space that doesn't exist. And people actually defend this stuff.
Then why does the sun go behind the moon? That's actually a good question. Before I answer this question, I just want to say, we do have a world full of lies. All the school systems, everything is failing us. So I don't know everything. This is just from my own memorization from the Bible and from other stuff and other people. But I just know that the earth is definitely not a ball. So the only thing I can say is, if you think about it, they move and move and eventually they get to the same spot, right? And then they close and get that eclipse, right? But we see the sun going behind the moon from the United States. But other people from Europe see a whole different thing because we don't live on a ball. It's a whole flat earth. So they're going to just see the moon and the sun.
Guys, the 7 planets are not physical objects. Now I'm going to show you what NASA shows us versus what a real camera, a Nikon P900, which is the most powerful zoom camera in the world, actually shows us. Oh, here is NASA's CGI version of Mars. Here's what Mars actually looks like. So guys, these planets are luminaries. They are lights in the sky. They are the only wandering stars. Also, how is it when you point a camera at the North Star, which is Polaris, all the stars around it do perfect circles 365 days of the year. Also, the constellations realign in the same exact spot 365 days, which means we are absolutely not doing this, hurtling through space at millions of miles per hour, orbiting the sun and spinning 1,000 miles per hour. Like, how would we see the same exact constellations aligned in the same exact spot every 365 days. Not possible if we were doing this. So check this out. This is the planet Venus, or a luminary, a light in the firmament traced over an 8-period time, and this is the pattern it creates. Guys, none of this would be possible on the model that NASA is feeding us. So guys, this is what our planets or wandering stars actually look like, and not this fake CGI cartoons that NASA feeds us. So the Earth is a stationary plane with the stars fixated in the firmament. The stars are moving and we are stationary, just like the Bible said, and just like all of our ancient ancestors tried to tell us. And here's NASA. When are people going to realize that Antarctica is not a continent on the bottom side of a ball? It's actually an ice wall that surrounds us 360 degrees. First of all, why do you think they call it the Antarctic Circle? It wasn't just to be funny. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 27. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth. Compass referring to circle or circuit. Depth referring to sea or deep sea. Verse 29. When he gave to the sea his decree that the water should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth. So God set a compass or a circle upon the face of the sea to stop the waters from passing his commandment. It's very simple to understand. But here's a video of some fishermen trying to get close to it and got turned away by a Navy warship. But if you're asking yourself, why weren't they allowed to go to Antarctica? But if you haven't did your research on the Antarctic Treaty, you should. But this is what it says. No independent exploration is allowed beyond this black circle. And well, if you go past this black circle, they start shooting people. But I can already see on the comments saying, but you can go to Antarctica. I never said you couldn't. You can go for $13,000 just to see this. Just to see this little piece. Here it is on a bigger scale. Just that little tiny piece right there. Satan is using NASA to deceive everyone. Watch this. First I'll type in flat earth backwards and put .com at the end. And what do you get? NASA.gov. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So we all know this is how the Bible depicts the earth. But according to NASA, it looks something like this. Now I'm about to use the Bible how NASA trolled everyone. This is where Satan deceived Eve to eat the apple. And the Lord God said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. Satan is a serpent. What does this word right here, beguiled, mean? And the Hebrew translation for beguile is NASA, and NASA is to deceive. Now remember, it was a serpent that beguiled Eve. Take a look at NASA's logo. That red thing right there that you see is a serpent tongue. Search up serpent on Google. A large snake, a slight or treacherous person, especially one who exploits a position of trust in order to betray it. There is no space, and we need to hold NASA accountable. We're giving them $26 billion a year just to sit around and create CGI images. It's time something is done about it.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. And little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
It came in the mail, and y'all are opening it with me. Ooh. Smell it. Woo! Here we go.
The flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.